Reading of Zensuon Crystal Age. Part 1. All the crystals of the world might be of sufficient value to redeem one's soul.
This is a tale I quite enjoy repeating. Why wouldn't it be? It says I'm in it. I hope as you read the pages you can tell where I pop up. If not, that's fine as well. If you follow through to the end, you'll surely know. Or I guess, since you're listening to the audio podcast, well, all you have to do is listen.
Prelude. Do you see these rooms, Kaido? The shadowy figure, adorned in armor, pointed to the sigils covering the device. The White Dragon King nodded. But, realizing the helmet on the figure's face might have obscured emotion from its view, he added,
Yes, Lavis.
Dragonkin are half dragon, half human, all scaly, usually. These will ensure none may claim the crystal. Yet they will not interfere with you drawing upon its power. The dark helmet now rotated toward Kaido. The Dragonkin simply nodded this time. He understood quite well. It was not placed there as theft protection. Lavis simply did not want him stealing it, Kaido imagined. I shall be expecting the other one soon, then, the dark figure concluded before turning on its heels. Following it into the shadows that filled the room stood a feminine figure coated in darkness, creeping from the ground and crawling upwards along her form. Her blank white eyes stared at the Dragonkin as she followed the dark-armored Lavis. The shadows of the room retreated, after which the already dim light slowly crawled back into its place. Not that it bothered Kaido, he could see perfectly well in both.
Things aren't going to go your way, Lavis,
the Dragonkin thought. He was enraged at the man, anyone, who dared to command him.
With this, things will go my way.
The crystal brightly shone in purple within the machine. Chapter 1. A good day for a cruise. It was bright and sunny day. A great day for a cruise across the Terran-Fam Canal. Said waterway-bearing ships bringing newcomers from outside of Zensuon into it, and its main, and nearly only, path of import and export. In one such ship, making its way towards the land, a big green man was standing out amongst the crowd, although not much amongst it as away from it, with most being too afraid to approach him, creating a kind of natural semicircle where none dared step around the edge of the ship where he stood. He, meanwhile, was too busy glancing at the splashing waves the ship created in its wake. On the opposite end of the rather large deck of the vessel sat a man who was on the opposite end of the height spectrum from the aforementioned large man. Sat a relatively smaller man sitting against the wooden edge of the vessel and watching the orc. Orcs are big, monstrous, man-like creatures that are sometimes green and mostly mean. They are also known for the color of their skin, green skin, brown skin, etc. A common saying for describing orcs is, "You can't spell war without orc," to which most literate people reply, "What? Of course you can," which is commonly followed with, "They sure do try though." What do you make of it? The sailor asked, sipping from his rum with one hand and resting himself on a barrel with the other. The smaller man on the floor looked up at the speaker, then back at the green skin. "It's big, dressed in ragged pelts, large axe, and here I am wondering how it has the restraint to stay still, not to manage to board a ship on its own." The halfling glanced around left and right across the ship. "Do you think it a lost slave?" The small man of the small folk peered up at the sailor in question with a question. Halflings are, of the small folk, small man, child size. Humans have a lot of names for halflings, none of which they enjoy. These human-looking creatures are known to be easygoing and at most reach 1 meter in height. Nah, likely just a battle slave, taught well enough to be left on its own when its trainer is away. You sometimes see them delivered to each Pillaraf. The sailor considered this for a moment, although rarely. He shrugged. The halfling listened and nodded, raising his hand toward the shipmate, motioning to the bottle. The sailor looked at him, then the bottle, and then obliged with a smile. Really? With the trainer not even on the boat? No, it doesn't look it. Not exactly. It feels more like a wild animal that just dropped into a crowded street. You can feel it, right? That's why we're all keeping away from it. That's because it is a wild animal. Well, if wild animals were at constant war with anything, anyway. The sailor gave a short, muted chuckle, the kind of regular ha a person gives out when they feel something is supposed to be funny in their head, but it really isn't when it comes out of their mouth. The halfling chortled at the remark, sipped from the bottle, and stood up. Rising from half a barrel's height to just below a barrel's height, he pushed away his blond hair from his eyes and walked toward the green man-like creature before him. The sailor perked his brow, amused. A few other keen observers did as well. As the small guy broke the semicircle, the half-sized man adjusted his ruffled red-gold clothing to try and give the somewhat torn, fanciful suit some pomp and circumstance. As he ventured to the orc, towering about 3 times his size, he took a swig from his drink along the way. "Hello, my good fellow. Mind if I stand here?" The halfling grinned. The orc didn't, turning his dirt-brown eyes down to the tiny man. He gave nothing in turn, not a grunt, not a huff, neither a mumble through his fanged teeth with 2 protruding tusks at the side of his mouth. The silent type, I can appreciate that. The small man didn't relate quite yet, even while he was being eyed like the next meal. He emptied some more of the relatively large, to his size, bottle into his body. "That's fine, I can talk. You probably need someone to talk, right? Arrange carriages, food, water, lodging. How about it? You're the muscle, I'm the greaser." He quirked his brow and glanced up at the much, much larger fellow. He once more found no retort, no response, and not even that famously awkward clearing of the throat. "Look, I'm not asking much. You heard about the Grand Baetylus? See? I'm looking for the shards, and I could use your help. Just until we get to your location, of course." The halfling gave a small man salesman smile. "One which he has seen his father win thousands of customers with. At least, when they had been looking at him." The orc was not as kind, unfortunately. Baetylus. Baetylus are also known as magic stones, or evershards in Zensuon. In essence, anyone can use them to cast out the magic within them, and those who specialize in it are known as spellcasters or mages. Think of it like swinging a sword. Anyone with 2 arms can do it, but with no training, they just can't guarantee they won't accidentally stab themselves in the eye. The Grinskin lifted the axe up to his shoulders from the haft of his back in a wide motion. This caused the halfling to jump back half a step and drop the rum. "Damn it!" He glanced down at the spilled bottle. The orc, meanwhile, didn't miss a beat. Bringing the blade close to his ear, he stood there, nodding.